Good morning and welcome back to a brand new video on Alex Elite Golf, and today's video is something you need to do every single time you play golf. So you're probably playing golf this weekend, so this is something that you really need to apply today. If you get out on the golf course today or tomorrow, make sure you apply this. It's going to help raise your game to the next level. It's no technical change, it's a concept that's really going to help you move your game on, and I really mean that. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button as well as hitting that bell notification. Now, what I want you to do is, before we get into this video, I want you to comment down below how many times you get out on the golf course and do you let your mind get in the way of you playing some good golf, whether that be a good score that you've got in your hand and then you lose it in the last few holes, or whether that be first tee nerves. Comment down below and let me know exactly what's going through your head. Let's get straight into today's video. So today's video is all about a simple concept that can help free you up over the golf ball. I'm going to show you as a tee shot, but then also go down and apply it on the green. I'm on the fourth here at Stockport. Fantastic hole. It is actually probably one of the hardest tee shots. Out of bounds on the right, a bunker right where you want to land the golf ball, so not easy to do. So let's apply this to the tee shot and let's apply this to putting, because I think these are the two areas where a lot of people will struggle. One, if it's a first tee nerves or a tee shot they really don't like, and then secondly, when it's putting, we don't all feel that we hold the amount of putts we should do, so this is going to really help you free up on that also. So today's video is a concept of having a pre-shot routine. Now, a lot of the time, especially if it's a first tee shot or a tee shot that we really don't like, a lot of people will get over the golf ball, we're over it, we rush it, we hit it, and we've hit a shot without actually even taking into account a process, or taking into account the conditions, or even actually taking into account a swing thought if we've had a lesson in the last few weeks. So what I want you to establish over the golf ball is we've got two zones. We've got our thinking zone, where we do all our thinking, we don't do our overthinking in here, and we've got our playing zone, where we spend as little time as possible, not rushing, but keeping us concise over the golf ball. Now, in my opinion, a lot of people spend too much time in thinking in the playing zone and not enough time thinking in the thinking zone. So really establishing these two lines and having that virtual line step over on the golf course really helps us lift that weight off our shoulders, because if we're someone who fears a tee shot, it's that scenario where we rush. If that's someone where we're not playing as good at golf, we then rush again because we want to get it over and done with. But having a simple set routine can really help you guarantee rhythm into the shot. Then if you've got rhythm into the shot, we've got rhythm over the shot, or more likely to. So what do I think about the thinking zone and playing zone? Well, in the thinking zone, I like to take into account certain things: the wind condition, club selection, swing thoughts, and where do I want this ball to finish. Now, okay, that might sound easy in saying I want this ball to finish there. Okay, it's not as easy as that, but if we have a plan and a process, and we have an idea of how we're going to stick to that, that's really going to help us do what we want to do when we step into this zone. So if we classify this thinking zone as an area where we do our club selection, take into account the wind conditions, where do we want this ball to go, take into account the lie, and do everything that we need to do with our swing thoughts, here, we step over that, we lose the baggage of everything else bar one swing thought. Over the golf ball now, all I want us to do is spend 4 to 5 seconds over the ball, take into account our alignment to target, take into account actually, have we aligned correctly, have we got a clear thought of what we're trying to process and do, our attention is now in the right place, and then we can hit a good shot. Very, very often when people are rushing or people are not thinking right, their attention is not on the right place. We actually lose our focus of what actually is our implement. If I use the analogy of, if you were going to use a fork to eat your food, you wouldn't be thinking about your elbow to put the fork into the food. You're thinking about the fork. So let's get back on our attention on the implements, the golf ball, the club face, and how we can really free ourselves up over on the golf ball. So if I was to run through my routine now, I'm at the fourth here at Stockport. It's a slight dog leg to the right, there's a bunker like I mentioned before, which is exactly where you want to land the golf ball. It's downwind off the right, so it's a wind where I could probably carry that bunker, so I'm going to be daring today and take the driver. And I'm going to do all my thinking now. So I've taken into account the wind, I've taken into account my club selection, I've taken into account where the trouble is and where I want this ball to finish. Well, the final thing I've got to do here now is take my swing thought. So when I get over the golf ball, all I have to do is put my attention on the implements and my attention on where I want this ball to go. So ultimately, the attention in the right place. And it's a really big word, that, so I'm going to use it all the time. So last thing I have to do here is picture my swing thoughts. And I have this in 2 stages, and I mention this a lot of the time. I like to have 1 which is over exaggerating and 2 which is actually me playing the shot. So let me go through my full routine. I've selected the club, I've taken into account the wind conditions, I've taken into account where I want this ball to finish. Finally, all I've got to do now over the golf ball, picture the over exaggerated swing that gives me a good swing thought. Second practice swing, which is actually me hitting the shot that I'm intending to hit. So it's ultimately like I've already hit the shot. I can stay in here as long as I want. I think about, right, okay, I've got my picture in my shot. We've seen Keegan Bradley, sometimes he can't step over that line, and that's something that he's probably trying to work on in his game. Once I've got clear intent of what I'm trying to do, step over that thinking zone line, into the playing zone, over the golf ball, 1 more look towards target, clear intent of what I want to do and my attention on the golf ball and the club face, hit this one away. Right, so you've got it there. You've got my routine of what I like to feel, my thinking zone, my playing zone, and my reasons for having that. And then when we're over the golf ball, we have our attention in the right place. We have our attention on the implement that we're trying to hit. So the golf ball, the club face. And it might sound crazy this, but I find a lot of the time, a lot of people's attention is on what our body is trying to do, rather than actually what we're trying to do with the golf ball. And once you get that idea of, okay, once I get in the playing zone, this is what I'm trying to do. When I'm in the thinking zone, this is what my body and my movement wants to feel like. Step over that line, throw away the baggage, over the shot, free yourself up. And you're going to really start to see some better scores out on the golf course. Now, first time you do it, you may feel like you've got nothing to think about. Great, which is a great thing. And I actually like just to have 1 swing thought. So my 1 swing thought at the minute is long right arm, because that really gets me a good feeling of releasing myself through towards target. So having that 1 swing thought I think is a good idea, but it's not having the rest of that baggage. It's not having that everything over the golf ball. Is this the right club? All the trouble's there. This is that. I've got horrible thoughts really imploding through my head. Whereas if I have those thoughts, okay, the water's on the right, the bunker's there, okay, I'll take this club, step over that line, leave that baggage, hit the shot and put your attention in the right place. Let's head to the green. So let's now head to the green, and you've realised by the start of this video now that you need to have 2 distinctive zones, your thinking zone and your playing zone. And this is something that sounds like it's easy to do, but it's actually, I think, very hard to implement out on the golf course, and very hard to be structured with it out on the golf course, because as soon as we hit a bad shot, we want to revert to default settings. But what I want you to really stick to is that when you hit a bad shot, when you get to a hole which you've had previously bad shots on, is stick to this routine and make sure you own this routine as your own. I'm giving you a platform of saying, right, okay, you've got a thinking zone and a playing zone. I want you to do more thinking in the thinking zone and less in the playing zone, but ultimately I want you to own a routine that you do every single time. So I'm going to show you what my putting one is now and how I apply my thinking and playing zone to when I'm putting. Now, the area of the game that is troublesome for some, but some people absolutely love. But how can we create a more consistent routine over the golf ball that's going to help us, one, hold some more putts, but again, get to that routine where we've got less going on through our head, and we're over analysing when we don't need to be, and we're over the golf ball thinking about less, enjoying our golf more, and ultimately holding some more putts. So again, going back to the start of this video, we've got our thinking zone and our playing zone, and our idea of our playing zone is to have as little through our head as possible. So how can we actually apply this to my putting? I'm going to talk you through my full routine and show you how I apply the thinking zone and the playing zone to when I'm putting. Well, unlike with a normal shot, we've actually got the implement chosen for us. We know we've got to use the putter on the green. So when we're thinking about how we're going to hole a putt, we have some things taken into account: the pace, the read, and our start line. So these are the three things which, when we're going to walk around this hole, we're going to take into account. So what I like to do is, as part of my routine, in my thinking zone, is behind this golf ball, taking into account the slope. Is it right to left? Is it left to right? Is it downhill? Is it uphill? So these are all the thoughts that are going through my head. So I've got a downhill right to left putt here. So I've made my first decision. I know it's going to be pretty quick, so my pace, I'm going to look to try and dive into that hole, and that is something that I try to do in general. I try to dive the ball into the hole. So once I've chosen that I know it's right to left and downhill, I then always walk to the low side. Now, I've not stepped across that line in terms of the playing zone because I'm not intending to play the shot. All I've done now is come to the side of the golf ball, getting a good overview of the distance at which I want to hit this ball. Step back now into the thinking zone, pick my start line. Okay, I got a picture of where I want this ball to go. Step over into the playing zone, align myself to target, one look towards target, hit the shot. Nice try, stress-free tap-in. So this is an opportunity putt, and one that, okay, if it holds, we're very happy, but I thought I hit a very good putt there. So as you noticed, I'm not somebody that uses a line on my golf ball, but if you're someone that uses a line on your golf ball, this is exactly how I would do it. Again, I would be behind the golf ball, picking out which is the low side, which is the high side, then walk to the low side again, but this is where it'll be slightly different for you guys. What I want you to do is, I want you to step into that playing zone. Align that ball to target and your start line if you're somebody that uses that line. Check that line. Okay, I'm happy with that. Step back into the thinking zone, do your final checks and your final thoughts about your putting technique and where you want this ball to go. I know I've got to take into account it's downhill right to left. I've got my line which I use on the golf ball to help me align. I step into the playing zone, align the line of my putter correctly to it, over the golf ball, pull the trigger. Two really nice putts and devilishly fast down there. So what I want you to reiterate here with the putting is that we still have the thinking zone and playing zone, and we can come in and out of that thinking zone and playing zone as much as we want. All I want you to do though, when you get over the golf ball, you've got clear intent, you've got your attention in the right place, because that is the moral of today's story. If you don't feel comfortable, step back into the thinking zone, think about the shot you intend to hit, back into the playing zone when you've got clear intent, over it and hit it. So finally, let's just summarize what we've got in today's video. We've got a thinking zone, we've got a playing zone, and the two other final points is what we want our attention in the right place, and we want clear intent over the golf ball. So whether that's with an iron shot, a chip shot, or a driver shot, if we've got clear intent and attention and not a lot going through our head in terms of bad thoughts, we're going to set ourselves up to hit a better shot, or we're going to have more chance of hitting a better shot. Yes, okay, sometimes we still will hit bad shots. We're only human, we're going to hit bad shots. But if we can prepare in our best possible way to hit the best shot, then we've done half the story. And preparing for shots is something that's so overlooked by a lot of people. I think a lot of people gloss over it as not being important, but that preparation to me is just as important as the shot. It sets the tone for the shot that you're about to hit. So we've got the thinking zone, the playing zone, clear intent, and our attention in the right place, and that's going to help us play better golf today. So make sure if you're playing on Saturday today or you're playing tomorrow, apply this to your golf game. Finally, all that's left for me to do is to remind you guys, if you love this content, is to smash that subscribe button. You've got my pre-shot routine for a driver and for the short stick. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and that bell notification to not miss out on any of the new content coming this week.